royalty, really.
Okay.
And their cavalry was comprised mainly of the sons of the leading noble families. What's interesting is when Khazaria disappeared, and they lived around the Black Sea area primarily.
Yeah.
Many of them moved into parts of Poland and what became Germany, and Russia. But no one ever explained where the royal ones went with their army, their massive army, their massive monetary wealth. They were incredibly wealthy.
Yeah.
And then next thing we know is we've got the Norman invasion of Europe with people with the same standards as the Khazars had.
Mm-hmm.
And they went through Europe. It took many years to take the whole of Europe over, but they had unlimited financing and weaponry and a trained cavalry that no one could stop. And they wore they used lances just like the Normans did, same thing as the Khazars did, and armor. So it's very possible that those were the noble families of the Khazars that moved in there.
Interesting.
And became the present-day royalties of Europe.
Oh, really? Ah.
Yeah.
I mean, these. There is also region, southern France connecting with Portugal and also Spain, the Andes Mountain. Going in this region, we have people, the Basque people. Very interesting. It seems to be some Muslim influence going on there. Do you know if there was any mix with the Cathars and the Basque people?
It's very possible there'd be some because they were a highland people, and they did like the high ground, the highland ground. So it's very possible they would go into the Basque region, which is more mountainous.
Yeah.
It's very possible indeed. Yeah.
And again, I guess we could, to go back to the Knights Templar theme. If we move up, the legend, so to speak, goes that a fraction of the Knights Templar who survived fled up to Scotland, right? Mm-hmm. And these guys, again, we have the Holy Blood, Holy Grail connecting with Rosslyn Chapel and all of this stuff.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Do you know something
it's
about
overblown to some extent through again. See, authors kind of a field day stretching this off into infinity. This kind of information. However, we know that around that period, the Rosicrucians were the main secret societies in Europe. And the Rosslyn Castle isn't much different from other castles I've been in. I've been in them all.
Yeah. And
you'll see the Green Man, the man of nature. You'll also see animals which you only had in North America, like porcupines.
Yeah.
Before Columbus. The reason being that the Knights Templar, with their treasures and their fleet, there's a fleet of ships, didn't get lost. They went to the west coast of Scotland, and they settled in Argyllshire, and they used that as a base to go to the Americas. They were in the Americas long before Columbus came along.
Yeah.
So there's no real mystery when you realize that the lay organization that the warrior priests created were the Rosicrucians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that they together Knights Templar, Rosicrucians, and that kind of mixed up all of this, created Freemasonry and of course the Scottish Rite later on in England? Or
there's no doubt at all. In fact, they always swore revenge on France, and we know that Philip the Fair didn't last too long after he killed the Mole, Molay. I call him the Mole, and Jack the Mole.
Yeah.
And, so he was killed off. However, what you do find in Scotland was Robert the Bruce, in 1314, the same year, suddenly nationalized Scotland by defeating England. And when you go into the history of Robert the Bruce, he was called Robert de Brucy. He was a Norman knight. He wasn't Scottish at all. And so he nationalized the country and gave us taxes for the first time.
Oh, wonderful.
Side with Sion, eh?
Oh my God.
But I do know one thing, though. You see, in the 1960s, early 60s, Robert the Bruce was entombed at Dunfermline Abbey, I think it was. And they wanted to make a statue for Bannockburn, where the battle took place. And they did take his skull out. It was in all the newspapers, and had the photographs of the skull of Robert the Bruce. And they used that as to make a copy and a plaster, then a bronze face. And it did say in the newspapers that a Masonic ritual had been performed by high Freemasons to open the tomb, and once they were finished with the skull, they put it back, and then did the Masonic burial once again. Now, why would they do that, unless he, of course, Robert the Bruce was an early Rosicrucian, Knight Templar?
I mean, I think the skull again is very interesting in relations to the Knights Templar. We have a theme running throughout that legend that connects with the beheading of John the Baptist. Do you know about this?
It's an allegory for a system. You'll find the same stories you'll find it in sort of legends in India and so on. Almost all the same stuff is in the Old Testament, and the New Testament is taken from earlier mystery religions in Egypt. And the beheading of John the Baptist. John the Baptist is the one who cries change for the future. You might say that Lenin was one. You could say that Karl Marx was a John the Baptist. That's why they always have their St. John in Knights Templars. The one who paves the way out of chaos towards the planned future, and who predicts it and shouts it's going to happen. Make his path straight. You see, straight, again, a term from geometry and architecture. So it's all to do with, it's allegorical of the system. And being Knights Templars, now Knights Templars were warrior priests who would have nothing to do with women. And so the women were always, even long before they were Knights Templars, this is an ongoing mystery religion that it's like a chameleon that changes its colors down through the ages. They always give the female the blame because she's emotional, whereas they want no emotion, they want nothing but pure functionability and logic. And so they're always killed by the female, the sensuous female, who beheads them, you know.
And of course, I guess this also connects with the fascination and the idea of stuff like eternal life, considering that without the female there are no procreation or next generation involved. Yes,
and in the old ancient mystery religions, even amongst the early Arabs, they said that ultimately that God would be born out of man, not woman. So this all ties together. Big time, big time, and it answers a lot of questions as to why science, which only goes in the directions that it's funded to go. That's where you point the direction of science. We could go off in thousands of directions, but it always goes towards a handful of things. The genetic decoding, one. But also Australia did a test a few years ago. It was in the newspapers, where they made an artificial womb from a man's colon material and impregnated them to see if they could carry a baby to term. Now, why would they be doing that? Why would you be doing that?
Yeah, it's insane. I think
when your health services, you can't get in for simple appendicitis. They spend millions to see if a guy can have a child.
Oh, it's amazing.
There's an agenda behind all of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have themes running throughout that, like the movie, the Pregnant Arnold. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it's amazing.
Yes. And strangely enough, I watched a NASA documentary. It was a simulated program, a film put out, 2-hour special, a few years ago with David Suzuki, who's up there with the World Wildlife Fund. He's a geneticist, though. And it was about long-term space travel to mine the planets like they've mined the Earth. and how they would do it and all the rest of it, and the long journeys. And it was even discussed on there if there was a way to make man reproduce himself efficiently en route, then they would have to find it and do it.
Yeah. Amazing. And again, it explains the strange, as you say, avenues that some of these scientific, ideas take when they are, developing and funding these projects. I mean, do you know, regarding, the Human Genome Project and all of this stuff? I mean, this was allegedly, I guess, completed in, when was it, 2000, 2001? But I guess that, do you know if they were, completing this way before the official date?
They've been playing with genes before they even declared they'd found the gene. Because I was reading an old book by Rutherford, who was the mathematician for the Royal Society of London, England.
Yeah.
One of the best mathematicians they had at the time. He did the pyramid measurements and so on for the Royal Society. And he was writing his memoirs, and he said in it that he'd been working for the last years of his life on genetics. Now, why would you need a mathematician to work on genetics if you hadn't actually physically seen genes?
Yeah.
It tells you that they'd already found them long before Watson came along with his double helix and so on.
Yeah. Amazing. Again, maybe we could tie this back to, or not tie this back, maybe perhaps, but get back to speaking a little bit about I've been reading a little bit about the Merovingians and so forth. This line of kings, I guess. But do you know anything about the Carolingians? Yeah,
there was the two branches. One of them actually were the advisors who took over when the previous bunch became decadent through time. And so you had the Merovingians, who eventually sort of took over from the old Carolingians, or Carovingians. Merovingian, when you break it down in Masonic parlance, is Mero's mother, and Vine is the vine, you see?
Yeah.
It's the tree of life. So it's a branch of high nobility of the tree of life, that the mother. That's what they mean by that. These names are all occultic names that we had down through history of the big players.
Yeah. How about
it's the same with even genome. That's a gnome. That's a gnome is in English.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You're a silent G,
Of course.
It generates the gnome.
Yeah. What was it? The Hebrew? The golem was also some of the
clay. The golem
is
a Hebrew idea. It's a Kabbalistic idea.
Yeah.
Actually, from a sect in the Polish area, the Hasidic group, who are a bit more fanatical than others. Like all groups have their fanatics and their fundamentalists, you might say. But they were into different kinds of spells and omens and formulas like that. But in the 1500s, there was a rabbi came out and published that he and a friend, and it's done in tongue in cheek, so you got to take it at face value. He said that they'd created a golem, which lasted, I think, 48 hours by literally writing it on a wall, meaning a formula. And a golem is a perfectly working, efficient slave that doesn't rebel or anything. But it's also part of the Kabbalistic side of Judaism, the magical side, where the golem was to be a creation by calling off the powers of certain demons or entities. They would have they could breathe life into a golem, a man-made creature, like a statue, which would come to life and fight for them. So an artificial entity or robot. You might say that the Gort of the movie they did back in the 50s with Michael Rennie, when the spaceship